Welcome to the Brewed Truth Podcast,
where we unpack today's news
and separate the sense from the nonsense. I'm your host, Jay.
And I'm your co-host, Kadi.
And we want to remind you all to like, subscribe, and share our videos.
Let's dive in.
All right. So we have been on a little hiatus. Life, holidays, family, and now we're back. The world is crazy right now. When we left, it wasn't actually as crazy.
It was getting there, though.
True. We left off with Southwest taking away everything. From their free 2 bags to the shuffling or the hoarding of the passengers to assigned seating.
Yes.
Right? At that time, airplanes were falling out the sky.
Right.
So much stuff was happening. And now when we turn on the news, there's more chaos. There's more crazy stuff. There's more life happening all around.
Also, we missed out on Minnesota. We weren't here to report on that.
Well, that's part of I guess, our catch up that we'll be doing, right? So let's talk about money first. I think money is always something that people are always interested in. And the biggest thing in the news today involving money is the gas prices.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to have gas go up 50 cents in one day. Literally one day I went to go fill up and I actually only had half a tank, thank God. And I went to the gas station. And I only shop at one store for gas, usually with the one with the membership because they have the cheapest gas around, right? So as I was driving there, I remember the gas prices because I knew my tank was at half full. The day prior, it was literally at what? Like 230, 239 maybe. That next day, the same gas was like 289.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's at like 340 something. So do you know, and you want to talk about the contributions of why the gas is so high? What do you think it is?
It's the war, of course, because right now everybody in the global economy is watching oil prices because of what's going on in the Middle East. And so everybody's actually wondering what will happen if oil will go to at least what some states are experiencing. Is it $8?
Yeah, I saw something. I saw Florida at 5.
Yeah.
Something.
What was California's?
It was close to 6 something. And this is
Okay.
per gallon. Now, I don't care how rich you are in America. No one's wanting to pay $6 a gallon.
Right. And so when this happens, people tend to not want to spend any money. And so that affects everything. It's like a symbiotic relationship, if you will. So when gas prices hike up, everybody, withdraws.
Yeah, we stay home, traveling. And here's the crazy part of things that summertime's coming, right? We're in spring right now. Summer's coming up. And, before with the planes falling out of the sky, we at least had an option of, oh my gosh, at least we can travel via ground. And now with gas prices actually being outrageous and going up probably almost every day at this point, that is becoming less and less an option. And so, as things get tighter, because we can talk about the economy as well, which the economy is not doing well. And the crazy part about this too is that I'm not understanding why when I turn on the news, I'm not hearing a lot about job layoffs. Job layoffs are actually happening. They're just happening behind the scenes, or they're not getting the
highlights.
And the weird part too is that all this is connected, from the gas prices to that being so high, the jobs, the layoffs, and all that stuff, right? So what's weird and odd about all of this is what actually is being talked about on the news. It's literally just a war. We're not in a war. We're in a war. We are a war. No? Yeah?
I mean, I think most people, I don't think they understand the gist of really what's going on, like the ins and the outs. What's being talked about, it's like surfacey. You know what I mean? I don't think it's being covered enough.
You mean the war?
Yeah. I don't
or the
think,
not war? So let's be clear about that. We are technically in a war. I don't know if anyone's ever said it. Actually, they tried to say it, but then they took it back. And then they said we weren't in a war. But everything from what, strikes, because usually we don't strike friends.
No.
Right? A lot of things are happening. If you want to talk about, the kidnappings of leaders, can we talk about how you went into Venezuela, took that leader? That was odd. And he's in jail right now. Again, odd. It feels very much like we are at the beginning or the start of a world war.
Yeah.
Even though we're not labeling it a war, right? And then we have our amazing Congress. Can we talk about Congress for a second? Because Congress is actually the agency or the entity that would actually declare war. They haven't said a word.
Yeah.
Right? awkward, but we got, the man in the big office over there forgetting sometimes. And I don't think we can play ring around the rosy with a country like Iran. Now there's a reason why Iran has not been touched in like over 45 plus years, no matter what political group is in the White House. You know why? Because Iran is crazy. And no one said it, but I'll say it. Iran's one of those kind of like a little bit more special than North Korea because, we don't really touch North Korea here
Yeah.
because Kim Jong, he's a little off,
Mhm.
right? Here we are right now. We don't really mess with a certain countries, right?
Okay. It's
We
true.
don't.
We don't.
So someone wakes up in the morning and says, "Hey, I want to mess with Iran," and there's no one around and be like, "Hey, let's not pick that country."
Mhm.
Because they're low key gangster. Not only are they low key gangster, they have been preparing for this moment, right? And so we see it because Iran, and what they thought initially was that Iran was going to roll over. Iran was like, "Oh no, 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 no."
So you catch him shot, meaning if you can't get the big one, you'll get the small the small one. So that's basically what I think they're doing right now. You can really attack us, so you'll go after smaller portions of us,
So
if that makes
that's
sense.
what I initially thought first,
Mhm.
right? But that's not true, right? So I found out that they are actually not attacking us from, we'll say, the physical aspect. They're actually doing it in a smarter way.
Oh, they're crippling our systems.
Hey, hacking. Listen,
That makes sense.
this is another reason why this war is so different because the wars back in the day, you had big old bombs, you
Mhm.
drop it off, bloom,
Mhm.
people would die, all this stuff.
Mhm.
Now they're like, hey, well, let me do a financial ruin as an attack, or attack your power grid, or attack your infrastructure and things
Mhm.
like that. We are actually kind of like in a different kind of war now where our people aren't scared. Like I'm scared.
I am.
I'm terrified. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm so terrified. And there's a reason because when you mess with people who are just like just a little off, right?
Mhm.
You just
You never
don't
know what you might get.
thank you. Like they would be the type of people that be like, you know what? Let's go ahead. Like let's
Mhm.
try and see, even if it may come to our own demise,
Yeah.
let's just try it. Because we got nothing to lose at this point.
Mhm.
And there's a saying here that they say that the most dangerous person in the world is a person who has nothing to lose.
It's
Now
true.
think about that. Iran is like, y'all want to play? Let's play. And I'm like, no. It's a local American. I will say,
Mm.
I don't want to play. Not only do I not want to play, I just want you to get the people who are starting this mess because
Mhm.
everybody here in America is not really starting this stuff.
Mm-mm.
We don't want it,
No, we don't want a war.
right? I just want to eat my cheese sandwich and like go to work, have a
Mhm.
good family, laugh, right?
Mhm.
Travel a little bit if it's safe, right? And like live. That's
Mhm.
that's it. I don't want to nuke anybody. I don't want to take anything away from nobody. I don't
Mhm.
want to do anything except like
Mhm.
exist.
So we don't want to do anything that will disrupt
No.
the
The apple cart. Like, no, like don't touch my apples. Like
right.
I just want to go and just live a little
Right.
bit. So I feel like everyone who voted for someone, that you should be kind of like in the front lines, right? Like if you voted for this person who's like cutting up right now, shouldn't you be like in the front line to be like, hey, I want to help, right? And the people who didn't vote, we should be able to what? Drink our water, right? And sit back and let you handle the stuff that y'all voted for, correct?
Correct. But that's not how it works. You know this.
No, it's not, but I just wish that at this point in time, we had something that I believe is a little fair, right? Like if
Mhm.
you voted, and it would go the opposite way too,
Right.
right? If I voted for someone who's in office and they're over here trying to cause World War III,
Mhm.
I should be kind of signed up for attending the World
Mhm.
War III situation, right?
It's true.
I just feel like that kind of is the fair thing to do instead of having people who didn't vote for this person and also people to die unexpectedly,
Yeah.
um, which
It's
is,
sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
really is.
it's sad. I mean, we may be laughing and smiling right now, but at the end of the day, you have people who are losing their lives unnecessarily. So
Yeah.
it is really sad.
And there's something else too, which is the civilian life and the life of the military folk that are actually fighting and in combat. I can't verify this and I haven't heard anything like a credible source yet,
Mm.
but I heard that the numbers are underreported here, meaning like they're not telling the United States public all of
Mhm.
what's happening for real. Now,
Mhm.
this is not the first time like information like doesn't get to the public efficiently or honestly, right?
Mhm.
But I heard that their numbers, and this is just speculation at this point, and I haven't had anything to verify it, but they said that the numbers of people that are actually being hurt are actually being underreported.
It's possible. And so that is why you need to have a collection of news media in your catalog, for example, like independent news media, I watch them a lot because things that the mainstream media will not report, they're not afraid to report it.
Okay. So, within the same vein of all of this, because we're talking about change and we're talking about the world evolving, I'm going to bring up a topic that is kind of like a hot button topic, which is like AI data centers at this point. Have you heard anything about them?
A little bit. It depends on what aspect of AI you're talking about.
So, AI is great. There's several kind of like levels to this that I'm going to hit on today. And the first level is going to be the level of jobs. And a lot of people are saying that AI now is coming in and taking away the jobs that used to employ individuals and used to drive our economy. And now
Hmm.
companies are now laying off folk because they
Hmm.
have AI modules and AI software that can do the things more efficiently and cost them less than humans in general.
Yeah.
So the idea that jobs going away is a real thing that we have to deal with as a society as technology gets better and has always infiltrated a modern age. So we've dealt with this throughout the tech boom, right? So we're not unfamiliar to change, but the biggest thing that makes this different is that this change is coming so fast, so soon, and without guardrails. And the guardrails part is that there is no real legislation in Congress to kind of like, I don't know, safeguard Americans. So there's a saying that you typically think about, which is what can be used for good can also be used for evil.
Equally.
Correct. Right. So as much as the jobs and stuff that are like really, speeding up things, you're making things more efficient. There's another side to like all this efficiency too. I don't know if you watch the news, but this actually has been in the news where they have tried to break down an AI model and tell the model that they're going to delete it. So the model actually has reinvented itself and actually blackmailed the person who has said that they were going to actually break down the model. How wild is that?
Wow.
Like that's crazy, right?
Yeah. But you know what's crazy? It's the fact that we teach AI.
Yeah, it's true. I like AI. I mean, I do. I like it. I use it. I use it. I do. And I find AI to be less frustrating than working with humans. I mean, so there's some perks to AI. It's true. It is true. The only AI I hate is when I call into a call center and I get the AI. I don't want it. I'm telling you, I really hate it. I'm like customer service zero, zero. Like I'm not. I will not wait.
Me too. It's frustrating. Can you please tell me why you're calling in today? I need an agent to better able to assist you. You need, and I'm like,
I'm like the worst. I'm like zero, 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 zero. I'm like, human. And they're like, oh God. And I go through these prompts. I think one time they hung up on me.
yeah, because before what people used to do is try and confuse the AI. So now they just hang up. They don't actually pass you on to a human. They will hang up the phone.
Which I think is even ruder.
Yeah. So before that's what people used to do to get a person is to confuse the AI, and then eventually they'll just give up and transfer you to a human. But they're not doing that anymore.
And zero doesn't work often anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
I'm kind of pissed about that too. It's like, now what's my go to?
Yeah. So on I work on a certain platform. And so when I wanted to speak to an agent, like chat to an agent, I used to type like random keys like dollar sign, percentage, and that, and try to confuse the AI. And then it would pass me on to an agent. It would like
Oh, if you
transfer you
use it.
into an agent because it's now confused. So that used to be my cheat sheet of getting to a human right away.
I didn't know that. I
Yes.
didn't know. I mean, I guess there are back doors. So one of the things that when we talk about these AI kind of big, huge data centers is that there's a cost to that.
Yeah.
And the cost that I didn't bring up was not only jobs being replaced, but they're putting these data centers in residential areas. You know what that means?
What do you mean putting it in residential?
They're building these data centers like in people's
Oh,
backyards.
I didn't know.
Yes. So you know what that means? That means that people's utility bills, and I don't know if you've heard it, but I can tell you right now, the utility bills are going up in so many people's areas because they are funding like the AI generation and the data centers using up all electricity. Their electricity is going up. Most of their utilities are going up. Did you know that?
No.
Yes. And there's a weird humming sound that comes from the workings of these data centers that are now in people's backyards.
Wow. I need to go and research this.
Yes. So it's really bad. So, as I say, like, I do believe in the AI efficiency and all the good things that AI brings, from asking it questions to helping me do research to models.
Yeah, but
How do I say no to that?
you also have to be very careful because you have to go over that information yourself
Of course.
sometimes. Most times you
Yeah.
have to
But
because
review is always easier than doing, ma'am. Again, this is why I say there are parts of AI that I absolutely
Mhm,
love, but I think that there's absolutely a need for regulation as well,
mm,
right?
mm.
And what's even wilder, and I don't even know if you know this. So I follow like weird stuff in the news. We have an AI model that the Department of Defense or Department of War now is wanting restrictions off. And they were actually going to end the contract with that company, right? In order to have this operate without like the guardrails that that company put on to make sure that Americans weren't surveillanced. Now, like, whoever the head of director, Department of War, whatever is, he said that he didn't want to work with that company if those guardrails were on. Now, what?
What do you mean? I mean,
Meaning like that product that they
I
made from AI
right,
can surveillance and do other things to
right.
Americans, and they have guardrails. So they wanted the guardrails off.
I understand that there's something called privacy, and we should be entitled to our privacy still.
I agree. I think a big con, and here's a weird part. There's no regulations in Congress around AI.
Yeah, because I remember this only came into what, like really, really, really came into what year are we? Like 2026, right? So AI, of course, there wouldn't be any real precedence around anything AI until recently, you know.
But the biggest thing is that they haven't pushed anything through Congress yet. Like I said, the addition of AI, I think, is a great tool. The issue that I really struggle with is, can this tool be used for evil as well?
Of course,
Now that part makes me stay up at
yeah.
night. If you could come up with a formula, I give you some complex data, you could do that in 30 seconds. What the heck can you do, with like other stuff and bad things? Like people can make bombs, like you can
Mhm,
do all this stuff.
mhm.
I'm very scared because not everybody is wrapped the tightest.
Right.
Right? I'm just being honest. Like we know, but no, not everybody is. So what that means to me is that if people can think about things and go about things right, and do things that are not necessarily things that promote people's well-being, and you have the opposite of that, that's terrifying. Okay, so man, that's AI.
Mhm.
I mean, the pros and cons, and guess what?
It's coming. I mean,
It is.
it's
It's
coming.
not going.
It's not going.
But here's the weird part. Why did I hear that Iran knew that we were using some AI models and they painted jets on some concrete so we could bomb them? And we bombed the concrete and there was nothing there.
What?
Because remember, they're using AI. Now think about that. Now, listen,
Now I see why you're quiet most times because you're
I'm telling you right now, when I think about everything that's happened, I'm like, oh my, it's scary out here.
it is scary. I
Right?
mean,
But
yeah.
I gotta actually give Iran a little I gotta laugh at that a little bit, right?
Mm,
Because he knew, he's like, "Look at these they're gonna come and they're gonna do it." They were
mhm,
like, "Boom, they did it."
mm.
It was wild. What you got?
Oh, well, this is almost AI too. I mean, but in the form of sports betting. What do you think about parlays?
I only like parlays when I hit, and that's rare. But I love the setup and I love the possibility. I have a complicated relationship with them.
It's a love-hate
It
relationship with.
is. It's
Mhm.
very, but it's more hate than love because I rarely hit. I think I'd love them more if I hit more. I'm on the fence about them.
Okay. Do you think online sports betting makes sports more exciting or it ruins the integrity of the games?
So you talking about the people who got arrested or people who are getting indicted? Listen, all right. So here's the deal. I have always loved sports. I've played sports my entire life. And when you're an athlete, I think you look at sports very differently than like a non athletic participant. The integrity of the game, you always want to make sure that it's there
Mhm.
because it's a commitment you make.
Mhm.
It's the connection to the sport, the level of love. It's just like a relationship, I
Mhm.
swear. So when you hear things like it was an NBA. It was someone in the NBA, right?
NBA. Mhm.
They were caught for like underperforming. We'll say it that way,
Mhm.
right? It does make you think about what else in this game is somehow rigged at some point. Usually, when you have non athletes playing the sport, they'll say things like, oh, it's rigged. And
Mhm.
most athletes know it's not rigged. It's just that person might have been hot that day
Mhm.
or that person might have had an off day. And when you play sports, you understand that you have those days. So
Mhm.
even though most people who don't play sports, they think that it's a calculated, mechanical, everybody's supposed to make 20 points a game because you made 20 last 2 games. So next 10,000 games, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of variables that go into it. And
Yes.
unless you played sports, you would understand not only the prep, you got personal lives that a lot of people are going through that impacts the person's play. However, when you see people who we'll say on average score 30 points a game and
Right.
they only score 8, my dude,
Well, I have a
no.
point about that one.
I
It
know.
it could be the matchup that day. It could be the
Listen, when you make it to pro, remember everybody's pro.
okay.
Fair? And so I agree that matchups make a difference, but not like that. That's
Mhm.
why people are being investigated if you think about
Mhm.
it, right? And the reason why is because most people, when you look at sports betting, they're going to pick the people who actually are normally or average, we'll say a performance, right? And
Mhm.
when they become under, a lot of people lose because of that expectation. Now, of course, you can say, yes, that is the state of the game. However, doesn't it call into question some things?
It does. It does for sure. Because if you have somebody who is making 30 points per game and then all of a sudden you're only making what, 5, 6, 8 single digits when you're used to making double digits, it's questionable. Absolutely. I agree. But sometimes the matchup does play a part in on that person's outcome.
Well, it's not just basketball. And I think about football. Like I follow football as well. And I remember someone specifically getting hurt and being on the sideline, but like, I don't know, an ice pack or something. Listen, when you make it to pro, let me be clear. You played through, even beyond pro. I would say at least college.
Mhm.
You want to be out there. You want to play through. And most athletes have that same fire, drive, and
Mhm.
integrity. Okay. Most athletes do.
True.
But when this whole sports betting thing kicked off, we'll say a couple years ago, when they actually
Mhm.
opened it up and you just couldn't do this in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I think that is what changed, we'll say, some of the sports, okay? Because now you can bet on everything. You can bet on Gatorade colors. You can bet on, how many sacks a person can get. You can bet on
Right.
everything.
Everything. Absolutely. Anything that you can think of, it's in the sports book.
It
Mhm.
is. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, I take it or leave it. I'm a big March Madness fan. So I really love this time of year. And the only reason why is because I love for underdogs to be able to get to play these big boy teams and they get to send them home. I'm an underdog queen all the way through and through. I root for every underdog, every underdog. You know why? Because to
Mhm.
get there, it took not the act of God or Congress, but kind of, right? To get on the stage. And then you get the opportunity because what they do is they pair the worst seed up to the
Mhm.
best seed the first game,
Mm.
the first round.
Why is that though? Can you tell
Girl,
me?
of
I want to know
course.
why. Tell
Because
me.
the number one seed has earned the right to not only have a bye, they earn
Mhm.
the right to play, like to say that the way that it is a 15th or
Mhm.
16th seed coming in. Okay. Now that's what it's like, kind of like that's what you get when you have a great season, right? But here's the deal. And this is why this is so magical because everybody that gets to go to the dance gets an opportunity to dance. And
Mm.
sometimes the big boy goes home. And I celebrate so hard when that happens because that means that the underdog played their asses off,
Yeah.
right? That means I
Mhm.
was screaming at the TV, yelling at the TV. I was excited. That means it was a good ass game, no? But this is the best time of the year for that.
Yeah, but it's not good if you pick the favorites in your parlay because then everybody will be like, oh,
Look to
Vegas
break
made the call.
brackets. Yeah, they always say that. I look to break the brackets. I don't believe in all the top dogs winning. I believe the
It's
underdogs,
true.
they come through. And the money's usually better anyway with the underdogs.
Mm.
Come on. Can you imagine? I remember a couple years ago, we were just talking about this at the last party we
Mhm.
went to, where UMBC, it was in 2017. I'll never forget this. We were in Vermont. We were in Vermont. And I remember screaming so loud that UMBC, they were ranked like 16. I think they beat like UVA or they beat
Mhm.
Virginia Tech or some sort of Virginia.
Mhm.
When I tell you the eruption, it was like plus 1,500
Mhm.
at that time.
Wow.
The sheer joy. I think I jumped on like several couches that day.
Wow.
It was so amazing. But you know what? That team did so well and
Mhm.
they rallied and they played as a unit and everything was clicking for them. That is what the spirit of the dance is about. But I have something, right?
Mhm.
It's in the vein of betting, but it's about politics, right? Did you know that you could bet on things that happen politically?
You mentioned that the other day,
Yeah.
and I was on a platform. I think it was Facebook, and somebody's like, "Where can I bet on the war?" And And I'm like, bet on the war. And I asked you about it. And I
Yeah,
said, somebody made a post that they're going to bet on the war. And I'm like, bet on the war. Is that even possible?
it is possible. And here's the weird part. Our government is using the betting platform, and I won't say which one it is, to be able to make money off of things that are occurring. So let me say this. Okay. This is what was reported. This was reported from MS Now,
MS now. Mhm.
right? MS Now reported that someone close to the White House put a bet in on the strike that was going to happen in Iran.
That's unethical, illegal,
Insider trading.
insider trading.
You name it. Not only did he do that, they also made a bet that the leader of that country would be dead. And they won on that bet too. And
Oh,
then they also bet on it, I think, and this is just an assumption. I think at this point, I'm not sure, but I think they made a bet that that whole canal area in Iran
the
taken
Strait
over.
of Hormuz.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they made bets on a lot of stuff. Now, this is the wild part because before we couldn't bet on this stuff, right? So now you got people close to politics who got answers
Mhm,
and they got strategic, I guess, inside game to
mhm.
what's about to happen to go ahead and place a bet and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because from what I saw, what they put down and then what came out, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now I say, well, why can't I get a hookup like that? I just need one. Let me need like one hit. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if there was a bet placed on the Venezuela one, but I'm willing to bet if Iran was placed, there probably was one for Venezuela as well.
Mhm.
Now you're making money off of knowing that we about to attack somebody.
Yeah, but that's also a country's demise, people dying. I don't know. I guess I don't have the heart.
To
That's it.
bet?
Like that to bet
Oh,
on
on
things.
that,
No,
yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, because it would be a country's demise. It
Right.
would be. And that is sad. That is very sad. It's to enrich your own pockets with that sadness. But I would take one.
Of course you would.
Not I don't
Not
believe
that
it,
time.
but I would take one,
When Vegas makes the call and give you the
yeah, yeah, as long as nobody or, any pets or animals got hurt, or animal or humans. I don't want that. But you give me
True.
one where no one gets hurt, I'll take it.
Mm,
You would too. Right.
yeah, I'd rather make my 25 leg parlay.
Hashtag never happens. All right. All right. We're going to switch gears. I want to talk a little bit about relationships, you know?
Oh yeah.
You sure?
hmm It depends on what aspect of relationship you're talking about.
Why does it depend?
Because,
I don't.
I don't want to go in blindly.
What?
I'm kidding.
All right. So
You're all good.
let me ask you the first question. And this is something that I thought about during our sabbatical. I guess you can call it a sabbatical. How do you know that a relationship is worth fighting for? Isn't that
Ah,
such a deep question?
it is. And it goes into, all right,
How would you know?
because you would know based on your history together, the experiences that you've had together. You weigh the pros, the cons. Love is not just taking on the good parts of the relationship. You have to take the good, the bad, the ugly, and also understand that relationships, there are different seasons. And I've experienced different seasons of relationship.
Mhm.
And even in my current relationship now, I understand that there are going to be tough times, but at the end of the day, based on all that we've experienced, all that we've gone through together, they're good, bad, and you just weigh that. And at the end of the day, if the person loves and respects you, then it speaks volume.
Yeah, it sounds like a very textbooky answer. I
Why?
like it.
You put me on the spot.
No, I like it. No, I like
How is
it.
it
No, no,
textbook?
no. I mean, to me, meaning it wholesome. And it's true. I agree with a lot of what you said because there's a lot of components to determine like what makes something worth it,
hmm
right? It can't just be what feels good right now. Cause
hmm
I mean, most people would take ease and I think that's fair. The biggest question, within that question is like, are you willing to go through the mud with somebody to see them
hmm
on their worst day and still love them through that? To see them on their best day and still be supportive of that, right? And ultimately deciding whether or not you'd be willing to make that commitment long term, right? Because ultimately that's basically what you're trying to determine, right? And I think that it depends on the person. I think it depends on the relationship with the person. And I think it depends if the person's willing to grow,
Yeah.
right? Because I've seen a lot of dead relationships. I've been
Mhm.
in a couple. If I'm honest, right? Like I've been, and that maybe sometimes it was me being young. I didn't know I needed to grow, right?
Mhm.
And I think that if your partner is willing to help shine a mirror up to you, even though you hate what you see, I think that's your person. I do because that type of honesty, and that type of vulnerability, although it may be hard to receive, I think it's necessary in order to really have something like real, right? I don't want a yes person because in that case, I know I'm gonna run myself right on off the the tracks. I mean, I don't want to yes. I want a person that's gonna, have the guts to be able to not only hear what I have to say, but also to be able to contribute right to the growth, regardless if I like it or not.
Yeah. I think sometimes people really don't know their partners.
That's accurate.
Yeah. And when I say know them, I mean know them, know them, know them. Like,
The good, bad, and the ugly.
yeah. And if you know the person that you're with, it makes it a lot easier to maneuver certain situation.
That definitely could help for sure because it will allow for you to give them grace, even if outsiders don't understand why you're giving them grace.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Mm.
Are you ready for the next one?
What is it?
Okay.
I'm ready.
Are you sure? Okay. This is kind of a fun one. All right. All right. Would you rather know everything about your partner's past or nothing at all?
Oh my God. Nothing in the middle?
Nothing in the
All
middle.
or nothing?
All or nothing.
I'd rather know all.
You could handle all?
I can, but I'd rather know all.
You want to know, you would rather know all the person's history.
Yes.
Everything?
But there isn't okay, if you had said like or some, but it's like all or nothing, of course I'm going to pick all. It doesn't mean that I can handle all of it. I can't. I know I can't.
I toyed with that question, right? Because I think there is a blindness, but also a genuineness that goes with knowing nothing. Meaning, at least for me, when I think about the nothing part, it's a freeing part. Like I'm not bringing any preconceived expectations of you that you've told me about some things you were in before to the table. Like everything in my mind, if I know nothing, I'm kind of at a blank slate with you, right? Now, there's a drawback to that. Now, especially we'll say if a person who has a history and they continue to do stuff and you know that in their history, when you don't get that information, it's going to feel brand new. Then then it'll happen to you over and over again.
Mhm.
So of course, there's a drawback to that. But then I'm thinking to myself, like, do I really want to know everything a person has done in the past? I don't know. I think about my past, and I know that some people couldn't handle everything in my past. I mean, not that I did like crazy things, but I know I had a life before. I had so don't act like you're like Mother Teresa. You were some locked in some like nunnery, like awkward. No, like I know that I have lived, and I know that I enjoyed living, and I know that I lived every day, most days to my fullest. And I know with that came some tomfoolery and some excitement and lessons and regrets, like everything, right? So would you want to know all of that? Or would you want to just take the person as they are? In your mind, they could be the version that you wanted.
Can't believe you said that.
So
Yeah,
what?
it's a good point, but I still think that I would want to know. But the fact that you only gave me two options, all or nothing,
That's why you get us too.
so I'll resort to picking
And I don't
all.
know. I think I would probably see. I would sit on that for a little bit.
Mm.
I would want to go with none, just for the fun part of it. I think I would
Mhm.
explore to see what I would get.
Mm.
I'm a little crazy like that. But
Mhm.
then the other part is, well, damn, if I know your history and I know all of it, like would I
Mhm.
still pick you?
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
I don't know. Like, so if someone was like, there's this person who you thought was amazing, right? Like
Mhm.
this, like body bam to what you wanted, mind bam to what you want, personality bam, and then you found out they were like promiscuous,
Right.
couldn't hold a relationship,
Here we go.
did all that stuff, that you
Mhm.
despise, right?
Mhm.
But they checked every box you like that you thought you were looking. Maybe they actually reformed. Would you want to know all of that, or would you want to take them for today? Because they checked all them boxes.
I want to know.
I
I
don't know.
want to know
I might take today though.
because you know why? Eventually, if you find out, it's like you're hurting in that moment when actually this person they have lived. The point I'm trying to make is I want to know.
Got it. Solid. I got you.
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah.
You
I'm
would.
sticking to my yeah. I
Okay.
want to know.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this one. Is it wrong to check your partner's phone in secret?
In secret?
In secret, meaning that you would never tell them and they would never know.
Yeah, it's wrong. Would I do it? It depends. But knowing something is wrong and actually doing it, I know it's wrong, but it doesn't stop me from doing it.
You would do that?
It depends.
Wow.
But if I have to do that, then you're not my person.
That's not accurate.
It's true.
That's not accurate.
It is accurate.
I think that has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with you.
No, because if I have to resort to checking your phone, it means then I don't trust you. And
No,
if I'm doing
or
it behind your back, it means I don't trust you.
no, I think that it could speak to how you struggle with communication.
You think so?
Not you per se, but the person. Yeah, because my whole deal is like, if you have a conversation, that must mean you're not asking the questions you need to ask. Because that conversation should basically, in my mind, if it's healthy and you know how to do it well and both parties are participating, the questions I ask you, I'm going to ask all the questions that are creating the doubt that leads people to go check phones.
Yeah, but what if you have a person who
Is not willing to tell you the
yeah,
truth?
they're not
Then
forthcoming.
that's different. So it starts with communication, right?
Right.
So my whole deal is at that point, if you know that you struggle with communication, then it should end before you get to checking your phone.
Okay, hear me out a bit.
Okay.
If all of a sudden you had access to my phone, right? And we used to share stuff, share passwords, whatever. And all of a sudden I am using my phone in the bathroom. I'm secretly going off and checking my phone, and you don't know what my password is anymore. You ask me questions and I'm still not telling the truth, and you feel like I'm not telling the truth because the kind of person I am, I'm not telling the truth. I mean, wouldn't you want to know what's in my phone? Like, wouldn't you secretly go off and...
But it speaks to exactly what I was saying. I would initiate a conversation. In that conversation, I would be talking about the feelings that I have, and I will be describing the behaviors that I've seen. I feel like with checking phones is that people struggle with communicating their truth and what's actually really happening. Let me be clear. If I'm going to say, when you went into the bathroom, I saw that you were on your phone. I noticed that you changed your password. I noticed that you've been moving differently. And if I come to you direct and ask you, like, what's going on? What am I missing? Is it that there's someone else, or is it something that I've done? Are you upset? Like, these are the questions that a person should be asking. And all of the questions that I have, I should be able to get out and ask you so that there is no need for me to check your phone.
But you're banking on the fact that I will answer and get
So I'm
all...
banking on the fact that you communicate effectively,
Right.
tell me the truth.
Right.
Okay, so if you know that I'm going to lie to you when talking, that relationship is already done.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to wait to check my phone. Because if you can't talk to me and I can't give you an honest answer, that relationship's done.
But I still want to know what you're writing.
Let me be clear. I still struggle with that. My phone, obviously with my partner is open, they have my passcode. Even though they have the opportunity to, I don't feel like they should use it.
No, but it's a mind thing.
It's a personal thing.
That too. I mean, I don't disagree with you. The fact that you give your spouse your passcode, it's a mind thing. I have my spouse's passcode. I don't search the phone.
Not anymore.
You know why? Because I just believe that if you had anything to hide, I wouldn't have the passcode because you'd be guarding it. You know what I mean? That makes sense?
That sounds great.
So it's like, to me, if I have your passcode, there's no point in... I wouldn't search your phone. It would have been the last thing.
So funny. I can play the devil's advocate. So great with that. But I think it ultimately boils down to trust, right? And whether or not a person's trustworthy.
It's true.
And whether or not a person that you're partnered with, you have communicated or able to communicate effectively. I always say this. And this is like my golden rule that I've had since I think I was a child. God will always reveal. Like, I am the type of person that I'm so patient and I wait things out. I always have been like that. I am very patient. I wait. And when I wait, guess what? I find. And not only what I find, God has a way of being like, bloop, 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 bloop. And I don't even have to ask. The only thing I pray for
is what?
Clarity, and for him to guide my steps. That's my prayer. So if I ever have questions about a person, this has been in many relationships, I've waited. And every time, regardless of what I wanted to see or didn't want to see, it has always revealed itself.
Did you ever say, God, please let me manage the information that I'm about to receive?
Not at all, because at that point, God has given it and he knows who he's given it to. So at that point, he already know. He already know what I'm capable of. He know the kind of distance inside of me, right? He like, here you go, Jay. I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now I go off.
Right.
All right, let me ask you this. If someone cheats once, will they cheat again?
Lord. Oh my God.
If someone cheats once, will they cheat again?
I don't think so.
What don't you think so about?
I don't think that the fact that somebody cheats once, they'll cheat again. Yeah. It's not. It's not that hard
surprised.
and fast.
I am literally surprised this is coming out of your mouth.
Why?
Because we've talked about this,
Mhm.
and I even remember how we met. You said no cheating, like so.
No cheaters.
Hey, so
Mhm.
I thought you would have a different answer. That's all.
No, because when you've lived and you understand that people do change, people work on themselves, I don't think that because you've cheated once, you're going to cheat again. I don't think like you'll forever be a cheater, but it's intrinsic. It depends on the individual. If they really want to work on themselves and say, "Hey, I want to fix this. I've cheated once. You've forgiven me." Blah 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 blah.
Ooh, I
There's a
got it
lot of
ready. So hold
things
a
that
second. So
comes into play.
let me ask you this, and I just want you to be a little vulnerable right now if you
Yeah.
can. So if your partner cheated on you, you would actually forgive them and be able to move
No, but
forward. No, no, no. Let me finish. You'd be able to move forward and believe in your heart and do not lie that they would never cheat on you again.
yeah, but the question wasn't about me. It was a general question. And to answer your question, no. Yeah, if you cheat on me, that's it. No, there's no forgiveness. There's no
So why would you give a
because
different answer?
no, because generally speaking, I do understand that people can cheat. However, it doesn't mean that because I understand that people can be reformed. Sorry. People can be reformed. It doesn't mean that I am going to want that person who is reformed or
So,
no, it's
I
yeah.
love it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's true. Like,
So
yeah,
you
but I do understand and I understand that people change, period.
they do.
But I don't want that.
And you don't want them
No,
anymore.
I don't want to be the one to
Okay.
find out if you change or not.
There's my girl. So I was wondering where you work. You sounded so like healed before. I was like, "Who are you?" Right? That's the answer that I expected from you. And you know me, I'm always kind of like not on the opposite side of this, but I'm usually more left centrist than you. I would say it depends if the person really did the work to determine why they cheated. Right? Like
Hmm.
if they did that, do I think they'll cheat again? As long as they were honest about their journey in therapy, because a lot of people come in therapy and they don't tell the truth. So I can tell you that a lot of people come to therapy and they're looking for a friend. They're not looking for actual change and healing. So when I hear a question like that, it really does depend on whether the person is ready to look in the mirror to face the things that have led them to make those decisions, right? Now, the other side is if a person is not getting their needs met in a relationship and they do not communicate well, it doesn't matter how much healing they got in the process of them being reformed. I think they'll go back to history. You feel me? Because especially if they didn't learn, we'll say this, especially the big communication tool that we typically teach, which is making sure you're addressing the root of the problem. Because if you don't get to the root and you deal with all of these symptoms, the biggest root, which led you to that behavior, will still be there. Which means there's a higher likelihood for you to pick that choice again. So I would say it really does depend on whether or not a person's willing to do the work and be honest about what has led them to this. And that's usually history, usually childhood, and usually trauma. Yeah, isn't that wild?
It is.
You ready for another one? All right, let me ask you another one. You ready?
Ready as can be.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather be a partner or a spouse?
Why do you ask these one or the other? Why can't it be both?
Well, because one is involved and the other one isn't. Or it depends on what type of relationship you want.
Oh, okay. I'd rather have a partner
Why?
because, in every true sense of the word, you can be a spouse but not a partner, and a partner is your person, your ride or die. Yeah, your ride or die.
You really
Right.
need me to die, right?
Nah, you know what I mean. Yeah, so at least you have that one person who you can count on, or that person who have your back. You can have a spouse and that person is not involved at all. It's just the word, a spouse.
Yeah, and it actually is a very empty
Empty.
kind of word, right? Like, so when I think about spouse, and the first thing I think about is the level of involvement, right? Whether or not a person is engaged or disengaged. I also think about the level of connectivity. When I think about a spouse and a partner, I like glue. I like the stickiness. I like to be connected. And if it isn't sticky and it's like paste, back in the day, like the old school paste we used to eat as kids, or maybe
You
just
see,
me. You didn't eat paste? Everybody tasted paste.
no, I smell it. I like this.
Hold on a second. You didn't taste paste?
No,
You didn't taste paste. It would mean it would explain a lot if you did taste paste.
why?
I'm just kidding. I tasted paste. Maybe that's also why I had the life I had. You didn't. You didn't.
I love the smell of paste.
I tasted it. You okay? That's just like those markers. Remember back in the day, the marker that smelled really good that the
Yeah,
teachers had back in the day.
Yeah, but I love the smell of markers.
You probably get half those markers.
You remember they were, was it the rumor that you could get high or you?
You actually could. Yeah, you
Really?
could. Yeah.
Oh.
Huffing's a real thing. So anyway, I do like glue. I like the stickiness of it all. And for me, having a shell of a person, and you kind of know how I am as a person, it wouldn't work. Like that shell will be revealed like with the quickness because of just the type of person that I am, but also what I expect in a person that I'm with, right? Like I'm engaged and I expect the person that I'm with to be engaged. And if you're not, I don't think it would work, right? So I don't think the shell of a person or just the idea of a title would work unless we had an arrangement. Now, if we had an arrangement, I'm always down for arrangements, right?
Sure.
No, messy. If you let me explain. If I was, like single or maybe we got into something and we had an arrangement, that would have to be discussed ahead of time.
True.
But I also would have a place where I'd be getting my needs met though. Because I couldn't have a shell with an arrangement without me getting, my boxes checked. So that arrangement would have to allow for that. But I wouldn't want that. That's too messy. It's, I couldn't do it. I mean, it wouldn't last long term. Let me ask you this though. Should couples, and this is going to be something that I think might trigger you a little bit. I don't know. I hope that it doesn't, but it might. Should couples post each other on social media to show commitment?
Before there was social media, couples had other ways of showing commitment. And I don't think I have to post you to show that I'm committed to the relationship. I don't think that should be the sole, or it shouldn't even be a part of the commitment. How should I say, like the whole that makes up the commitment. It's a choice, and some people are more in the open than others, and some people are more private. But I do post my partner or my spouse. It doesn't mean that it's to show commitment. It's just
Now,
a trend
listen.
or a fad.
So I gotta call devil's advocate
What?
and actually kind of bring you to the carpet with this because you go on social media a lot
I
and you see a lot of couples a lot. And then there's a lot of people that really put a lot of stake in social media, whether it's true or not, they do.
and it will be the death of us because of how much we place so much. We put social media up here. Oh, I saw it on social media, so it must be gospel, or no.
No, I hear you, and I agree, and I'm actually kind of on the old school side, for me. But I also know that it's funny that you would say this about this question, considering you're on social media a lot. Like that, ironic, right? That just
But I'm on social media for other reasons.
scrolling.
Scrolling, it's a thing. It doesn't mean that.
So the question, if I'm going to remind you, which is, should couples post each other on social media to show commitment?
Yes, and I'm sticking to my answer. Before social media, couples were committed to each other. I mean,
But this
posting.
is a new day and age, and even though I would agree that social media doesn't show everything, but it goes to the other side too. Is would you feel some kind of way if your person never posted you? I mean, because that's ultimately what the question is asking, right? And there's people, believe it or not, like I was looking around and I was in one of these chats, right? And when I saw one of these chats, I was so shocked by some of the statements that I read that people said. So people made assumptions that if you didn't post the person, you weren't serious about them, or you were cheating on them, or you were hiding something. Like it went like negative, right? And then I was thinking to myself, like, what if not everybody's public, right? And not everybody puts everything online. And then also what you see online is probably not even accurate or true too. So there's several lies to this. But, and I want to say but, and I mean a big, bodacious, bootylicious but.
Bootylicious.
I do, because if we're together and there are no pictures of me, my nigga, my dude, think about that.
Well, thank God that's not the case.
No, I'm just saying, but think about that. Would that send a sign as well? Because honestly, if we're together, are you hiding me? From you, I'm actually even more shocked. I'm going to be honest about the kind of the fluff you're giving right now. Because if a person that you were with never posted you, to me, even if it didn't show a sign of commitment, but it would show something.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. It also depends on the person that I'm with. If the person that I'm with is in the media a lot and they have several pages and they're always posting. Say for example, we go out for dinner and you're posting the food. You had the time to post the food, but you didn't have time to post me. I get that. So yeah, it depends on the kind of but if the person that I'm with is quiet, not in the media, barely post anything, they have just a, just their their picture, a profile picture, and that's it. then I know that person is not a lover of social media. They just don't want to be in the
But
limelight.
why does
If
it
you
have
don't
to be about the
always,
other person? What about what's in your heart? I'm gonna post it because my heart's there, and I feel like that at that moment. Like my heart is like boom. It's like damn boy.
Mhm.
For you, I'm actually kind of taken back by your answer again
Why?
because I don't think it's authentic. I'm gonna be
Why
honest.
it's not
It's really not because well, maybe okay. I would feel some kind of way.
somebody that didn't post me, and it wasn't a thing. We were in a relationship for 8 years. I can't recall being posted. And the only reason it didn't bother me because that person wasn't like a person who.
Did you have any suspicions of that person cheating?
No, no, no.
So
And
this
then,
is what
but
some of the people were saying.
right,
I'm not saying I
and then
believe that.
I was in another relationship after that, and that person was a person who was always posting. And the reason I brought up the food posting was we'd go to restaurants and the food would be posted, the scenery would have been posted, but I wouldn't be posted. And so I had an issue with that because you could find time to post the food, the scenery, and the ambiance, but you couldn't post me. That I have an issue with because it means then that you're a person who you love the media. So therefore, why not post me when you're posting all these other stuff, if that makes sense? So it depends on the individual. Like you have to understand who the person you're with in order to take offense to something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I do hear you. I don't know if that will work for me though. Cause I mean, I could care less if you're on it or not. But if we've been together for some time and it's like nothing, my dude, like, I don't know. I know that I'm not going to, so I don't post often. Right.
Mhm.
And I know I don't put everything out there often. But when I do, it's because my heart, I do. But if out of all the times we've been together, it's like nothing. I don't know. I'm not one of these young tenderonis. I won't even claim that, right?
Mhm.
And even though it doesn't mean anything, it would still be probably a conversation that would need to be had with me. At least just I can speak for myself. I would have that conversation because it would be like, out of all the time that we've been together, you found nothing worthy to post? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. So that's what I mean. So people were going, "All right," and it's harder, obviously, than I was going. It made me think about that question. Even though social media is like whatever fake in some aspect or whatever, there is still a claiming that some people actually really do want to feel in a relationship, right? I have a title. Then if that's the case, so it's the same as you don't need a title. You're not going to post anything. Like, you don't need to be my girlfriend. Is that too extreme?
I don't know.
So, I mean, okay, so you would go, let me ask you, would you not have a title with someone and be with them for years?
No, you know that about me. I would never. First of all, I date with a purpose. I don't
No,
just
no.
date.
So hold on a second. If it's just kind of like a title thing, you would date without a title, right?
No,
So what if I was a person who didn't do titles?
that's your problem. Then I'll move on to the next person that does title.
Interesting. So why wouldn't it be the same? How come you would give grades about social media, but not
Because
about
social media shouldn't be the end all be all.
sometimes it means stuff to people. It doesn't mean that much to me because I really could care less. But it's the way people were going in on what they were saying. I was like, dang, let me think about this a little deeper. Because people were going in like, oh, you're hiding the person. I was like, wow. And then it went as like, well, you're not fully committed. I'm like, wow. They were really going in on this question. But then it brings up another question, which is what I had, which is, would you date without a title then? Because part of what social media is, I guess, in a way, is claiming the other person. It's a public display of the other person that you're, in a way, committed, right? You can, bro. I'm just saying, is it not like so? When someone, if
Yeah,
I'm
it is,
close to
but
another person that I'm, kind of close to, that is sending a sign to the entire whoever's my friend group that I'm with you. That's a title, is it not?
so I had this ex that she had postings of her ex on her page when
Started or when you were finished, or you, or during together during it?
during. Yeah, in your words, I've lived.
So you stayed through that.
I spoke about it afterwards when I found out who it was. At first, I didn't know.
Well, let me ask you this. Is that off limits? Is that off limits? Have your ex all over your page once you're done?
Once you're done, those pictures should be deleted or archived.
Archive, not deleted. Jesus.
I'm just saying, depends on what the kind of person. Because some
Hmm.
people love to hoard stuff. I don't know why,
So
but
if
in
you
my
make the
phone, it
archive,
would be deleted.
interesting. But if you make the archive list, I got a chance still.
Right? Exactly. Well, it should be deleted. So I don't think your ex should be on your page. Period.
You don't think so?
That's creepy.
I don't support that. I've gone over this with you before. To get me to the point where I like, I walk away. I've tried. Like, I'm a trier. I'll work through some shit a little bit. I'll try. But the trying has a limit. I'm honest about that. And when I get to that limit, it's hard. Usually for the other person, that time I've grieved, I've cried, and I've gotten to a point in place where I can walk. I'm good. I put my little music on, boop, boop, I'm out. And the interesting part about that, I usually have grieved during the relationship, right? So when I walk, I'm actually walking and I could set shit ablaze behind me because at that point, it really doesn't matter. And so it takes a while to get there, though. I'm a trier. Now, if I'm done with you, you won't be on my page. Oh my God. I'm not going to be rolling back to 1810, trying to look at the memories of whatever. If we have kids, I won't necessarily throw anything away. I will put it in storage for that kid to have should they decide when they got older they wanted to see it, right? But if it was no kids involved, then yeah, you'll be deleted. There's nothing to keep any stenches of you around because you're probably going to try to fuck up my new situation. I know it's coming. So I'm a big fan. I'm on cleans. I may even sage and get the pasta over to sprinkle some anointing oil over all the spots you've been in the house. And then you're out. So I think that's hard to say that the ex was still on the page, though. That's rough.
Still on the page.
That's rough. Now, I know that I'm still on people's pages.
Really?
So I think that that's a really different question because I feel that crosses the line. And for me, I think it's a sign of disrespect.
Which one? That you're still on the ex's page?
No, I don't care about that. I can't control other people. I'm saying for the person that you're with at the time, that for them to have their ex on the
Of
page,
course it was disrespect.
that's a sign of disrespect. That's hard.
Hardcore. To
That's
the highest score.
Is there a higher core? I couldn't rock with that one.
You girl.
That had to be hurtful though.
I've lived, in your words.
Yeah,
Lived.
I say that a lot. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yep, I am.
Okay. What matters more, compatibility or commitment?
No, where do you? Oh my God, you find all
They're
these
good ones, right? They're great. What matters more, compatibility or commitment?
commitment.
That actually doesn't surprise me. You said that. I'm opposite though.
You want compatibility?
Yeah. No, commitment comes with compatibility though, because I would pick someone like me, like-minded. You feel me? And the reason why I say that because I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
You're not a cop. I'm kidding.
That was cute. That was really cute. No, I'm not a cup. And the reason why I say that, because one, definitely high energy. And I love love. And I'm really engaged, right? I'm not the type of person where you couldn't be with me and not be with me. Does that make sense? If I'm there, usually you're there or they're there, whatever. And we are living. I really love love when I'm in love. I love it. I eat it up, I swallow it up, and I lay with it. Like I love it. So commitment, that means I got that shell thing going. And I have been that person for some, and I realized that I cannot have just commitment because I had that before.
No, that you put it in.
Yeah, you see me? Like, yeah, I had that before. So when I did, I was a shell, and I was there, and I was loyal, but my heart wasn't in it. And they knew it wasn't in it, but the fact that they had me, they didn't care.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
That's rough.
It's okay. I learned. You've lived, I've lived. Fair? And so I've known now that I can't just have the commitment. I'm very loyal. And I'm loyal by nature. There's nothing I can do about that. And so when I realized what I needed in life, it had to be compatibility. Because when I was that shell for that person, and they loved the shell because they had me, but I wasn't happy. I was miserable. And with that came me being absent in it. And even though, other people were happy that I was in it, and she was happy that I was in it, I wasn't happy that I was in it. So you got the emptiness, you got the checked outness, and you also got me not being there a lot. So friends came before everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I was out partying, living at the time of my life because I wasn't in it. And there's a big difference when you are in something for me and the compatibility part because I'm home more, I'm connected more, we're together more, we do things together more. And that compatibility part is what that glue for me is all about. So I can be loyal. That is number one. But I can't be loyal to a fault where I actually exclude myself. And I now know what I'm worth as opposed to before, right? When I was just that commitment shell, they didn't have to worry about me cheating or anything, but they also had that issue of me not feeling tuned into them either.
So let me tell you something. Is that why every summer in your mind,
Girl.
you're like, I'm out.
Not only
And then
I
the
think
summer comes and you're like, do you want to go with me? Do you want us to go there? Do you want us to? Do you
actually
want
you
us to?
should feel blessed about that. You come with.
I know that's what
Yeah,
the entire
it
point that
is.
you just made
It
just now
really
in
is.
in a
It,
nutshell.
it really is.
Because every summer in your mind you think,
In my mind,
yeah,
heavily.
yeah, in your mind you'll be out and carrying on with yourself, or every weekend you'll be
Yeah,
here, there, and everywhere. And
I
when it
do.
comes, you actually don't want to do it.
It shows the level of connectedness, and I think that is what this question is getting at, right? And it's true because I am the person, especially in the spring and summer months, even fall, that I am on the go type of person. And to be home and to be connected or to be with my person, that's ultimately what I feel like I'm built to do. Now, do we find ourselves in situations at times when we've picked people and they've turned out to be a little bit different than what you've envisioned? And you realize once you're in it, like, damn, like, and it takes some time because not everybody shows their colors right away. And that's the thing that about loyalty for me. Like, even though I found out, and at this time we were years in, right? Not us, but like me and this person was years in. And I realized I'm like, damn, you are not it. But how loyal I am is that I made a commitment. And when I make a commitment, I'm staying with it. So I did things and I tried things to, work on things. We were in therapy, we're doing these things, but there was a level of emptiness that I know that she could never feel inside of me. And it wasn't her job to. And I know that. And so when I looked at it from a healed perspective, which was not what is she not doing, it was me. And I realized that the type of person she was, she just wasn't a match for me. And when you get to that point and you've worked on yourself enough and you've done all the exercises or you've journaled and you've gone through therapy and you look and you say, you know what? One of the biggest things that I can tell you and I've learned through my divorce was that divorce was not necessarily a bad thing for me. It was a rebranding of the light shining on the areas of my life that I needed to heal from. And a lot of it was me being silent, right? I was silent through so much of like my relation. I didn't talk because you talk to a person who doesn't listen. It was kind of like, oh, what's the point? What's the point? Right. But then it got to a point in a place where it was like, by me not saying anything, people just accepted my silence as yes and they went on. So I would never pick just commitment ever again. Makes sense, right? Just because I lived through it before, I was like, oh hell no, no. If I can't throw rocks with you in the water or push you in or anything like that, like we not, and we can't vibe and we have fun, just us, right? I'm not gonna pick you. I'm just not. All right, you ready for the next one? There's more. Why you
I'm
always say
kidding.
that? All right. Do relationships fail more because of communication or expectation? So I'll ask it again. Do relationships fail more because of communication or expectations?
Oh my gosh.
They're tough, right?
They're
They're so good. They're so good.
because I want to say they go hand in hand,
They
like,
may.
and I don't want to just pick one, but your question specifically said one or the other.
Yeah, but it could be a mixture. I mean, I could see it being a mixture. What are your thoughts, though?
Okay. Oh my gosh. Expectations.
Why you pick that one?
Oh my gosh. You're right. Oh my god.
You can see it both sides.
I
In
just
fairness, it could be both, right?
because I expect you to do a certain thing. We could communicate about it all day long,
Mhm.
but my expectation still remains the same. You know what I mean? So I don't know, because I think they go hand in hand.
Here's a weird part about this, right? A lot of people have expectations based off of what they would do. Sometimes our answers in life are not easy. It's not either or. It could be a mixture. That's why gray thinking is actually, and gray understanding is actually so important. It can't be black and white, right?
Right.
Because things are so complex. So when you think about this question, when it talks about expectations and you think about the root of it, the expectations usually come from a perceived perspective that you have about the other person or about what you would do.
True.
And when you think about relationships, this happens in so many relationships. Why most arguments actually start because of expectation,
Very much.
right?
I
Like,
expect you to know this.
not only that, you expect people to be in your mind.
True.
You expect people to read your mind, and no one else can be in that whole movie scene with you but you. And I think that speaks to not just you, right? But it speaks to everybody else, and even myself. I have a whole world in this head of mine. And the reason why this question is so unique is when you actually boil it down to really think about the roots of things and why things don't work and why things end. It's usually because of preconceived notions that people carry about other people, not realizing that they haven't done the work on themselves or they carry stuff from their own childhood and they put it on other people. And when other people either don't meet their expectations because it wasn't their job, we then get upset and then sometimes we leave. But there's so many levels to communication. It's not just talking, it's actually being able to actively listen.
Right. And we know people don't actively listen all the time.
Listening is hard, especially when someone who you love is telling you something about yourself that you really don't want to hear. And the question is, do relationships fail? Do relationships fail more because of communication or expectations? That's such a big question.
It is. It is.
Because they could fail because of both.
Both.
Because having expectations and you not talking about the expectations can
Right.
ultimately lead to failure.
Exactly.
One of the good things about communication, which I've had to learn more about it, is that communication is not only a tool, it's an avenue that can drive a lot of disagreements into a positive direction. And it's the only change agent that I know that people can actively change in the moment of a situation. And so without it, there is nothing, at least from my perspective, right? So I can have all the expectations in the world, but if I don't tell you about it and I don't talk to you about it to kind of figure out if there's a way through it, we're going to end regardless because you're never going to end up to this vision of this person that I have in my head, which was made up, by the way. And most people have made up expectation or behaviors of a person or ideals of a person that don't even really exist.
True. It's true.
Like I remember my dream person before I met my dream person, I could draw them out. I can see it now. And then when I got my dream person, I was like, you know, I like my drawing. No joke. And then you have all these things that you think you're looking for. And when you get it, you're like, damn, did I really want that? I thought I wanted it, right? So having these conversations with people about what you expected is actually really important. And people don't do it in the beginning of relationships. You know what they do? They just ask you to be with them and they don't talk. So this question actually is not a trick question.
It felt like it. I want to say both, but
Yeah,
based
it's
on
true.
how you phrase your question, I have to pick one, right?
Ideally, but I think I can see the lack of both leading
Yeah.
to the end.
Mhm.
So, you know, relationships are tough. And I think a lot of people don't realize how tough they are before they say yes. And I'm not even talking about I do's because I do see another level. I'm talking about yes, just being with people, like and just
Right.
dating. Okay. All right. I think I got one more. Do you believe in redating an ex?
It depends, and there are different layers of what it depends.
Share.
Okay, and next, no.
Well, why would you say it depends? If you started with it depends and you sound now really strong.
Next is somebody you've been with, I guess, for some time, right? Like
Sure.
you were in a relationship, da 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 da, and it didn't work the first time. Why would it work the second time?
I think it depends. Yeah, I mean, oof, this is rough. So I really only redated one person in my entire life.
And how did that end up for you?
Miserable. It was a disaster. Listen, I got away once and I was stupid. I was definitely young, Jay. I've grown so much over the years. I don't know if I would say no completely now. Like if I broke up with someone I was with now, would I say that that'd be the end forever? No. It would only depend on whether or not whatever issues we had were worked out. Does that make sense? Because the person I went back to, there was no work done. It was they fooled me.
They lied.
Fair, right? Like I'm being honest. Like
Sorry.
so there's a big difference though, right? And I think when a person knows you and knows you well enough, and at that time I think she knew me more than I knew myself.
Yeah, it was just straight manipulation
Right.
at that point.
But I know myself now, so there's a difference. So when I was young, the person was much older than I was, and I remember feeling almost as like they was like I was being guided, but I was so powerless throughout this whole journey. I made a decision because I thought that's what I wanted, right? But me, present day, and if I think about who I am today, and I knew that if whoever I broke up with, I don't know if I would necessarily say I would close that door fully. I'm just being honest. And there's a big reason why. Honest. I believe that we go through so many seasons as a person. And I think that the person that I'm with has finally seen like 99.9% of all of them. And not that it would be perfect, but I think that I found someone that even if we didn't work, I would still want us to work. And what I mean by that is whatever it required, like whether it be growing on my side or growing on their side or growing on both sides, that I would hope that that work would be done. Does that make sense? So the connection that I have now is different than any connection that I've ever had before. And I mean that in like the most like kind of like authentic way. Like, it's not just like the good times. It's actually the hard times that I actually have valued more than our smiles and our fun, even though we have a lot of it. And the reason why is because it has allowed the root system to get deeper. And if I really think about like what a root system is basically to manage you through storms, right? So I never got that deep with anybody else. I never spent the time to actually work on the relationship. And I never stayed long enough to be able to cement myself with roots with another person. Right. I checked out, even if I was there, I checked out emotionally. So I was there. And again, I never left, but my heart wasn't there. My mind wasn't there. My soul wasn't there. So even though Jay was there, she wasn't there. Does that make sense? I've definitely matured a lot, which is, I guess in a way good. Maybe. I don't think I'll ever fully mature though.
No, you won't.
I don't think so. I don't think I have it in me.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks so much. We've got a lot of stuff coming this season, which is exciting. We want to remind everyone to like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, join in, share, leave comments.
Yeah.
Especially about the questions, because I know you feel like they're unfair.
They weren't. Because I want to pick both, but you gave me no option.
Sometimes in life you have to choose. Okay, right.
Knowing that how life is, there's no one or the other. There's always the in between or gray area. That's what makes life life. Yeah, not just one or the other.
That's true. So like, subscribe, join us. We're going to be dropping episodes every week. If you have any feedback, leave them in the comments. Kadi will read them.
And I will respond to you all.
Right. All right. Take care, and we will see you guys next week.